Welcome, everyone. We've got some big announcements today for children's books and nature. But before we get started, I'd just like to acknowledge that wherever we are today, we're meeting, working, and living on Aboriginal land. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people who might be on the live stream today. And a reminder that this week is NAIDOC week. The theme this year is Get Up, Stand Up, Show Up. And I know from their website that this is a call to amplify voices and narrow the gap between aspiration and reality, good intent and outcome. I recommend having a look at the website to find resources and lots of events happening all over the place, and certainly somewhere near you this week. Today I'm on Bidjigal Gadigal country here in Sydney. Please put where you are tuning in from in the comments. We'd love to know where people are. But today we are here for the Environment Award for Children's Literature. It's been running since 1994. My name's Roy. I'm the Communications Manager at the Wilderness Society, and we believe that books can have a huge impact on how young readers and listeners learn about the world around them. Kids who love, respect and care for nature are fundamental to becoming a society that values and protects our unique landscapes, oceans, plants and wildlife. Also, kids' nature books are a lot of fun. And to start with, we'd like you to meet our incredible judges and hear them announce the 22 shortlists for this year. Plus, stay tuned for the end because we've got a really exciting announcement of something new to the awards this year. So let's start. This year's three judges are, let me start with Paul McDermott. He joins our judging panel this year, comedian, satirist, artist, musician and writer. Hi, Paul. Paul's performed on radio and television all over the place, including, which might show my age, one of my favourites, the current affairs game show Good News Week. Originally, Paul trained as an artist and has written and illustrated various books, including the really haunting Ghost Bear. Thanks, Paul, for joining us.
Hi, Troy.
Hi. Paul is joined by Megan Daly also on our judging panel. She's passionate about children's literature and is the author of the best-selling book, Raising Readers. And you've got an upcoming book, The Beehive, I believe, Megan?
Yep.
Megan is a teacher librarian in Brisbane, and teacher librarians have probably been our biggest supporters of the ACL Awards over the years. So thank you to all the teacher librarians out there for supporting us and supporting kids learning. And our final judge is last year's fiction category winner, Nat Amore. Thanks, Nat. Nat is a Sydney-based writer who is passionate about encouraging kids to read, write and explore their imagination without boundaries. Thanks to all three of you. It's really good to have you all here this year. I'm going to start by asking you if each of you can give me a book that influenced you as a child or a book that you really like to read to kids. Paul, do you want to go first?
I suppose the book that I loved when I was a child was Maurice Sendark's Where the Wild Things Are, and certainly the cross-hatching in that was something that has stayed with me my whole life. I loved his penmanship, particularly as a child, but as I grew older, the strength of the story, particularly the aspect of the story where the bedroom, Max's bedroom, is overgrown with ferns and trees and becomes a jungle, was something that I incorporated into my own dreams for many years, and for a long time believed that I had dreamt that scene myself until I was reacquainted with the book in my late teens, and I've always loved that book. And what drew me to illustration was Pear's Encyclopedia, which was a tiny little volume and had these incredibly beautiful little drawings in it of animals and creatures and beasts, and just a beautiful little tome I had as a child.
Excellent. Nat.
Wow, it's a pretty long list. I was influenced by many books as a kid, but I think one that really stayed with me is Bridge to Terabithia. I love the way that it uses imagination to connect with the country that surrounds the kids and where they live. And I grew up on a farm down in the Mornington Peninsula, and I spent hours after being kicked out of the house by my parents and said, "Don't come back till dinner." I would spend hours in, land and small forests and stuff, imagining that I was in places and acting out alternate lives that I was living. So I felt very connected to Bridge to Terabithia. That imagination connecting you with the place that you live, I think, is really, really beautiful.
Excellent. And Megan, I'm sure you've got plenty to choose from.
I do. Yeah, likewise, I find it really hard to narrow it down. But I was also going to say where the wild things are for me personally. And in fact, my middle daughter, we call her the wild thing, and she's had wild thing themed birthday parties because she is a terrible, roaring, gnashing monster at times still. But as a parent, a book that's been really important to all four of my kids has been Tom Tom by Rosemary Sullivan and Dee Huxley. It's a really beautiful story about a young boy living in a contemporary Aboriginal community in the top end of the Northern Territory. And all four of my children have really connected with it. The idea that someone can be living in a place that's far away from where they are and doing really different things to them, but still things which are very familiar, I think is why they've all really enjoyed it. And that one's on our favourites shelf, above the piano where nobody's allowed to touch it, lest it get ripped.
Thanks so much. It definitely underscores why we're doing the ESCL award to, get kids connected, and also get imagination happening around nature and getting them really thinking about how they can embed themselves in nature, I suppose. And yeah, I love Where the Wild Things Are. So without further ado, we will kick off the shortlist. There's three categories. There's picture fiction, fiction, and non-fiction. And our first category is picture fiction, which Paul will announce.
Very, very proud to announce this category. All these picture books are absolutely extraordinary, and each is beautiful, and it's wonderful. The Accidental Penguin Hotel, Andrew Kelly and Dean Jones. 9 Things to Remember and One to Forget, Alison Binks. Sharing, Auntie Faye Muir and Sue Lawson, and Leanne Mulgo Watson. One Potteroo, A Story of Survival, Penny J, Alicia Rogerson. The River, Sally Morgan and Johnny Wakajar Mullaby. And the last one in this section, Saving Seal, The Plastic Predicament, Diane Jackson Hill and Craig Smith.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's going to be a difficult task to pick a winner over the next little amount of time that you have to go through them all.
Well, they're gorgeous. Yeah, they're gorgeous things. So I'm enjoying going through them and reading them and seeing the illustrations. Very beautiful work, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a tussle, I think, this one.
For anyone watching, we'll put the links to where you can find these books in the comments, and also the full list of all the shortlisted books will be on our website, so you can find a link there to find where you can get them yourselves. So our next category, Nat will announce the shortlist for the fiction category.
Yes, very excited because I've got a couple of faves on the list. So, firstly, a big congratulations to all the shortlist. I'm partway through all of them. Well, actually, I finished one of them already. Partway through all of them, and they're an amazing choice. So, first up, we have The Good Times of Pelican Rise, Save the Joeys by Simone Amber and published by Affirm Press. You are going to love this one. It's a book full of personality and pop culture references about a group of grade 6 kids who are kind of trapped in after school care, but determined to find a project to help save the wildlife that's been affected by recent bushfires. So, absolutely gorgeous. Check it out. Next up, great contender. We've got Fish Kid and the Turtle Torpedo by Kylie Howarth, published by Walker Books. It's actually the third in the Fish Kid series, and this time our hero Bodhi, or Fish Kid, gets to go to the Maldives, which is somewhere I've always wanted to go, and hang out with some sea turtles. And it's really cool. It explores about how humans have impact on, obviously, beautiful sea turtles. And last, but certainly not least, we're going to give it up for Bailey Finch Takes a Stand by Ingrid Laguna, published by Text Publishing. Okay, I got to warn you, get your tissues ready for this one, because it's so beautiful. It's a story of Bailey, who has recently lost her mum and spends a lot of time at the creek with her beautiful dog Sheba, until Sheba gets sick and she suspects it's got something to do with the dirty water at the creek, and so takes a stand against it, as the title would suggest. So a beautiful collection of books. Congratulations to all three, and I don't know how me or anyone else on the panel is going to choose. It's too hard.
Excellent. Thank you, Nat. That's your job, not mine. That's good.
Yeah, thanks so much.
So our final category in the shortlisting is for the non-fiction category, and this is for Megan. Before I like to start, I'd just like to a quick shout out to people who are coming in from Lutruwita, that's Tasmania, and also Gubby Gubby Country in Queensland. So we've got both ends of the country there. Megan.
Great. Thank you so much. Likewise, this is a really hard category to judge because there's some fantastic titles on it. First up, we've got the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Peculiar Pairs in Nature, written and illustrated by Sammy Bailey. And this book is actually the inspiration for my book week costume for this year. I am going as a blue banded bee and a guinea flower from this book. Next up, we have the Australian Climate Change book by Polly Marsden and Chris Nixon. We have The Way of the Weedy Sea Dragon by Anne Morgan and Lois Bowery. And finally, The Gentle Genius of Trees by Philip Bunting. Now, all four of those books are fantastic, and as a teacher librarian, I have used them with my students at school, my own children at home, and I have read them individually myself. And like the other judges have said, it's going to be a really hard pick.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Megan. Thank you, Nat. Thank you, Paul. You will find the links, as I said, for all these categories, both on our website and in the chat here. If you're looking for more ideas for books, we have most of the winners and shortlist from all the previous awards on the website back to 1994, and some of them are still in print that you can get. So if you're looking for some, deeper reading, they're there, but you've got a lot of options for this year's shortlist there to have a look at before we get to the announcement in Nature Book Week. So, question for the judges. How hard is it to judge these type of books, and what is your process to do it? And do you get help from the small people in your life to help if you know them? Nat, or would you like to start?
Sure. I just go with my gut, to be honest, a lot of the time. I think reading is such an emotional and personal experience. And, books are just art form, and everybody enjoys art form, different kinds of art and in different ways. So, yeah, obviously there is a way to when we're judging. So I use that as a guide. But a lot of the time I just go with my heart because I think the best book will get you in the heart and in the gut and maybe in the giggles as well. But yeah, I don't have any small people in my life. I'm immature enough that I feel like I can judge like a child. So yeah, I kind of just sort of stick with that. But I think it's really important. One thing I do keep in mind, because of the particular award that it is how the creators combine an environmental message or a love of nature or information with the storytelling and making the whole experience something really enjoyable for kids.
Yeah, excellent.
I'll pop in there. I have a few children I could, gift you. I have hundreds of students at school and 4 of my own. So I guess this is why I like a judging panel, because I think we all come at it a little bit differently. So I first read the books myself, and like Nat, I always have one that just gets me in the heart, and I think, wow, that one's really going to be a winner. But then what I do is I take them into my school library. I tend to use them with my students at school then, often in their library lessons, or I'll send them out to classes and get classroom teachers to use them with their students, because I like to get student feedback and see if the book connects with the intended age audience and if they find it engaging. And again, like Nat said, with this award, for me, this is about using books as a springboard into nature. So I want to ensure that at all times these books are just ones that will encourage children to go out in nature, to learn a bit more about nature, and to just be curious and inquisitive about all things wild and wonderful and natural.
Paul, you also have a little
Yes.
bit more weight on the pictures as well as the words, probably in your category.
Well, I agree with totally with what Nat and Megan have said already. Certainly, there is a moment with any book where you connect with it, and if you connect with it, that's a wonderful thing, and that's very subjective. So, my personal connection to the book may be different from Nat's, or may be different from Megan's, but we are all searching for the same thing in a book that speaks to us personally, and our reactions to that are based on our life story of what we've been through and what we've experienced, and other people may have totally different reactions. But in the end, that's why we're on the judging panel, to make those decisions, and they are difficult decisions to make. I would never sully my position as a judge going to little ones. I did have a little one, and he's now a giant one. Though we do have another crop of children in the family we could probably go to, but I'd probably avoid them and their sticky fingers, and keep them well away from the books. These are beautiful treasured items, and I think my longevity in the world probably gives me some sort of ability to judge the book independently of other sources. In fact, I've noticed that children make a lot of mistakes.
So there you've heard it from Paul McDermott. It's children's books are not necessarily for children, though. They really are for children. But, they are so beautiful, and lots of them are, such artworks. And clearly the judging is going to be a very difficult pursuit. So, look, I'd just like to extend my thanks to all three of you for being judges this year. For everyone, the announcement of the winners happens in Nature Book Week, which is in September. So we'll be sharing lots of information about the books on the shortlist in between that time, and waiting to see the scores to come back before that time. So thanks to all three of you for being there today. And as we mentioned earlier, we have an announcement of a new award. So I'd just like to take you through that before we finish up today. And just to give you a little bit of background, over the last several years, we've noticed that more and more First Nations authored and illustrated books were being submitted to the Environment Award for Children's Literature. Some incredibly beautiful books have been shortlisted, like last year's Brother Moon by Mary McCarthy Yulu and illustrated by Sam Fry. The 2017 winner for non-fiction, Welcome to Country by Auntie Joy Murphy and Lisa Kennedy. These types of books are, incredibly beautiful. But not all the books we've had submitted explicitly address the EACL criteria to promote a love of nature. However, many of the titles that come in honour a connection to country and tell stories exploring land, community, culture, and language. As we all know, First Nations people have been stewards of this continent's natural world for millennia, and they continue to be so. These books that we're getting in, while maybe not explicitly speaking of nature, have much to share with kids about how to live on this continent that we're all on. And for that reason, we're launching the Karajia Award for Children's Literature. This is an award that celebrates this continent's First Nations authors and illustrators for children's books. We've been planning the award and the criteria with many contributors for some time, and I'd just like to have a shout out to a few. In Mirning culture, Karajia is a holder and teller of stories, some carried from when the world was young. Senior elder of the Mirning people, Uncle Bunna Laurie, has shared this incredible name for us to use for the award, and we'd like to thank him for that, and also for being one of the 3 inaugural judges of the award this year. Bunna is a Mirning senior elder, whale songman, plus a legendary musician and a fantastic storyteller. A big thanks to Uncle Bunna for helping us create this award. I'd also like to thank Kiralee Saunders, who we consulted with a lot to help shape the criteria of the Karajia Award. And also to Corey Tutt, who took time to have many conversations with us about what the award should look like. We've also had many conversations with everyone from publishers to organisations, authors and illustrators, and we thank everyone for helping us get this. Corey Tutt is also one of the judges for the Karajia Award this year as well. He's a Kamilaroi man from Nowra on the New South Wales South Coast, and you probably know him as founder of Deadly Science. And also joining the judging team this year is Karina Eccles. She is a proud Wadawurrung woman living and working on Wadawurrung country in Geelong. Karina is manager for cultural education for the Wadawurrung Traditional Owners Aboriginal Corporation, and she is well qualified to be our other judge for the Karajia Award this year. Karina couldn't be with us today, but my colleague Michaela had an opportunity to have a chat with Karina about the awards last week, and I'm really excited to share that with you now.
So I'm so pleased to have you here with me today, Karina, and we're so absolutely ecstatic to have you on board with this new award. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Narik Makuru in Wadawurrung Bagro Karina. In Wadawurrung language, I say hello. My name is Karina, and I'm a proud Wadawurrung woman. I acknowledge that I am connecting to you all today from Wadawurrung country, but I do acknowledge all the First Nations countries, the traditional lands of all people are gathered today to listening to this exciting news.
Thank you so much for that. Now, you've had quite the background in education. Can you tell us about how that has really led you to really being supportive of this new initiative here with the Karajia Award?
Yes, I just want to acknowledge and say Nyatni, thank you in Wadawurrung language for allowing me to have this opportunity to read these amazing stories that have been shared across many traditional lands, traditional stories, and then stories that have been written by elders. And it's great to see that we have so many First Nations people really sharing their passion in literature and storytelling. For myself, my own journey started working as a Koori preschool assistant a long time ago, 27 years ago, and I know the significance and the importance of having First Nation stories to be able to share in ways of educating people. But what I love now is how much more it has evolved, and there's so much more out there, and particularly when we're seeing some of these stories that are really strongly connected to country and land. And I think that's what's really important too, that we connect traditional stories to traditional lands and learnings amongst all children.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And look, before we get even more in depth with the into the stories, we need to actually announce who they are. So Karina, can you do us the honor of telling us the shortlisted books for this year?
I'm excited to share the books that have been shortlisted this year, and I was extremely excited to be able to have the opportunity to read each and every one of them. I also want to acknowledge the amazing illustrations in all the books, as well as the storytelling. So the first one is called Sharing. This book is written by Auntie Faye Muir and Sue Lawson, illustrated by Leanne Mulgrew Watson. This book is great. It's about one country. It can be used and read across all different countries. It's benefiting all children, and the illustrations are absolutely beautiful. Next was The River. The River has been written by Sally Morgan and Johnny Wakaja Malibu. And please excuse me if I have that traditional language wrong. But this book was absolutely beautiful. Rivers are the lifeblood of country. They are what keeps our country healthy. And I love the rhythm of this book. And again, it is a book that can be read across all traditional lands to teach people about the importance of our river, our waters, and all the life that belongs in our rivers. The next is Sea Country. And as a Wadawurrung woman, very strongly connected to Wari, we have beautiful saltwater Sea Country. Sea Country was a beautiful book. It has been written by Auntie Patsy Cameron and Lisa Kennedy. Again, the amazing illustrations in this book. What I found is the storytelling. It was very heartfelt, it was very connected, and I felt it was quite spiritual as well. Another great read. The next book is Warnamanda, Baby Earth Walk. Again, I want to acknowledge Susan Betts and Mandy Foote, and wonderful illustrations through this book as well. Wurrungal language, which means it's the language that is used in this book, is a great way to be educating people on these traditional lands of that language. And doing it through storytelling is a great way that we can be educating all on language. So again, well done. The next one is Wiradjuri Country, a great book with in-depth information in it. It has been written by Larry Brandy. I want to acknowledge the amount of oral storytelling in this book. There's a lot of content. If anyone's living on Wiradjuri Country, I highly recommend this book, and it should be a book that is found in all the education schools and centres. It's a great opportunity to read more about Wiradjuri Country, to learn and know more. The next one is Somebody's Land. Welcome to our country. This has been written by a past AFL player that many people looked up to when he was running around playing AFL, which is Adam Goods, and also acknowledge Ali Lane. Illustrated by David Hardy. The illustrations are just absolutely beautiful. What I also loved about the illustrations is it shows our people connecting. It shows them smiling, happy, embracing, and sharing. Many times when we see illustrations, it is often showing us as really sad. And I just love the way the illustrations were through this book. It had a great rhythm. It had great truth telling for kids to be able to understand. And again, just absolutely love the illustrations. The next one is The Story Doctors. And I want to acknowledge Bulai Monty Pryor, illustrated by Rita Sinclair. And once again, illustrations, colours. I love the way that it's shared country, showing things that are in sky country, in land country that belong to tree country. It was a beautiful book with beautiful illustrations. It also had a great rhythm to the book as well, which is very engaging when you're reading it to children or children are opening up this book and reading it. I'd also recommend it, for grandparents and parents to be able to read as a family. The last one that I have to share from the shortlist are Walking in Karajia Country. And again, I'm sorry if my pronunciation is wrong. This book is about exploring the Monsoon Forest. It has been written by Diane Lucas, Ben Tyler, and Emma Long. Again, the illustrations are great, sharing all those layers of country, from beautiful rainbows to what we find in our tree country, to the beautiful butterflies that we see full of energy around the midday. The book, again, it had a beautiful rhythm to it. It is about going walking. It's about learning and deep listening. It's about fire. And again, the knowledge sharing that was shared in this book. So again, I just want to say, Nyatni, thank you. Thank you to all the illustrators and all the authors and the communities that have shared their cultural knowledge in storytelling in order for us to continue to educate all people about traditional lands and traditional stories. Nyatni, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Karina. And you know what? I've already started to read some of these books with my son, who's 4, and I can't agree with you more about some of the illustrations are just breathtaking and really engaging as well. And he just gets lost in the page. It's really fantastic. And so I'm so glad that we get to share these books wider through this new award. And hopefully we'll get to learn your favorites very soon when we do get to the announcement of the actual winners. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Karina, for all your help, and thanks to all the authors and illustrators who made the shortlist for our inaugural Karajia Award for children's literature. Thanks to all the other judges as well, Uncle Bunna, Corey, Nat, Megan, and Paul. Please check out our website, wilderness.org.au, or see the link in the comments for more details on all the books and how you can get their copies. We'll be announcing the winners during Nature Book Week, which happens from the 5th to the 11th of September. And you can also learn more about Nature Book Weeks from the comment as well. In the meantime, I'd just like to say congrats to all the authors and illustrators who have made the shortlist. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for engaging kids with nature, with country, with language. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, all of you who've come today for the 28th Environmental Award for Children's Literature and heard about the first Karajia Award for Children's Literature. You'll hear more about those shortlisted books over the coming months, and we'll be sharing lots of more information about the books in the lead up to the announcement. But really, thank you so much for the shortlisted books, and we're really looking forward to seeing what our judges come back with. Thank you for all your support.